This is a bottle of the erectile dysfunction medication Viagra, also known as Sildenafil. This is a new topical gel that you can supposedly rub on the penis as an alternative option for erectile dysfunction. And as you can see, it's called Eroxon Stim Gel. And this was recently FDA approved for erectile dysfunction and is also available over the counter, which means unlike Sildenafil, you don't need a prescription to get it. So today, we're going to talk about if this gel actually works, how it compares to Sildenafil and Tadalafil being Cialis. We'll also discuss the pros and cons between the two, and who may want to consider trying this new gel. And of course, have a quick review on how erections are supposed to work in the first place. So let's do this. An erection is triggered by the stimulation of highly sensitive mechanoreceptors that are located within the tip of the penis, called the glans penis. And as an FYI, glans just means acorn, which for any of you that have ever seen the glans before, which is probably most of you, if not all of you, you can see why this name actually makes sense. But the erection can also be triggered by stimulation from the brain or a combination of the two. These stimuli then cause nerve fibers from the parasympathetic division of your nervous system to send a signal into the erectile tissues of the penis, which we are going to review right now by looking at the erectile tissues within the actual penis. So everyone, you have been warned. This is a cross-section through the body of the penis, and you can see one cylindrical body below and two cylindrical bodies on top. The one below is called the Corpus spongiosum, and this is a more spongy erectile tissue that the urethra passes through. The two erectile tissue bodies on top are called the Corpora Cavernosa, and these, as you can see, are a more cavernous erectile tissue with spaces or sinuses that we are about to learn are going to quickly fill with blood. So remember I said that after stimulation of the glands and or the brain, signals from the parasympathetic nerve fibers will reach the erectile tissues, and this then causes nitric oxide to be released within those tissues. Nitric oxide is a powerful vasodilator, meaning it will cause the arteries of the penis to dilate or expand, which increases the blood flow to the penis, specifically to the corpora cavernosa, or that cavernous erectile tissue. And once the blood flows in, this will result in an erection. Now, one last thing before I get into how Eroxon gets involved in this process. As far as the changes in blood flow that we have discussed, this is one of the most rapid changes in blood flow that can occur within the human body. And because of this, a person can go from flaccid to fully erect in as little as 5 to 10 seconds. That's quite the impressive physiological response. But real quick, I want to take a second to say thank you to the sponsor of today's video, AG1. AG1 is a foundational nutrition supplement that I've been drinking every day for years now. It's made with 75 high-quality whole food source ingredients, including vitamins, minerals, superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. This is a formulation that maintains the highest quality of standards and is a huge reason as to why we feel comfortable partnering with this brand. Something else that is important to me is that AG1 is NSF certified for sport, which means it's tested to ensure that what's on the label is actually found in the bottle. AG1 also supports gut health with its pre and probiotic blend. And I'm going to share this personal anecdote again, but my bowel movements seem to be a bit more regular when I'm drinking AG1 as part of my routine. And speaking of routines, AG1 is ridiculously easy to make. All you do is take one scoop, add 8 ounces of water, shake it up, drink it down, and carry on with your day. And the more that you can streamline and simplify your health routine, the more likely you are to adhere to it. And getting so many high-quality whole food source ingredients in one easy scoop certainly helps one to maintain their routine. So if you're interested, go to drinkag1.com/humananatomy or scan the QR code to get a free welcome kit that includes the canister, shaker, vitamin D3 plus K2, and 5 AG1 travel packets. And as always, we'll also include that link and the information in the description below. How does Eroxon, this new topical gel, actually work? Well, what you're supposed to do is massage the gel onto the glands for 15 seconds just prior to intercourse. How much? Well, let's find out. They say just one of these small little tubes, and I'll show you up close here. But let's actually see what this stuff looks like. So if I open it up here, poke the hole. Anything coming out? Ah, a pea-sized amount. So two things here. To put the gel on, you're actually rubbing it onto the glands, which that alone will stimulate those sensory nerve receptors. But once the gel is on, and how they claim it's supposed to work, is that it causes a rapid cooling followed by a gradual warming. But you could think of this as creating an additional or stronger stimulus to the glands, with the idea that this will more powerfully stimulate the natural erectile responses, sending a stronger signal through those parasympathetic nerve fibers to release that nitric oxide to cause the erection. So now that we know how the gel is supposed to work, or its mechanism of action, what do the studies say? Does it actually help people to get an erection? And how does it compare to the effectiveness of the tried and true Sildenafil and Tadalafil? So what does the current research say about Eroxon? Is it actually effective? Well, one of the clinical trials referred to as FM71 selected about 100 men and placed half of them into an Eroxon group and the other half into a Tadalafil group. During the initial 4 weeks of the trial, they had to first attempt intercourse on at least 4 different occasions in order to establish the severity of their erectile dysfunction. Or in other words, to get a baseline of their erectile dysfunction, and then they were either classified as mild, moderate, or severe. They were then treated with the oral medication Tadalafil or the Eroxon gel for 24 weeks, and then they were reassessed. It was found that 61% of men using Eroxon had improvement in erectile function across all spectrums of severity, from that mild, moderate, or severe. It also demonstrated a rapid onset of action of 10 minutes. There was also another study called the FM57 that used 1,000 people, which found similar results, except this one compared Eroxon to a placebo, which is important because there's definitely a psychological component to erectile dysfunction, and people have had improvements in erectile dysfunction just by using placebos. So having a statistically significant improvement over the placebo boded well for Eroxon. But I do think it is also worth mentioning some pros and cons, and doing a little bit of a comparison to the traditional oral medications Sildenafil and Tadalafil. A pro of Eroxon is that it has that fast onset of action, whereas with Sildenafil and Tadalafil, you need to take it about 60 minutes prior to having intercourse in order to give it time for it to really kick in. Also, because Eroxon is topical, and due to the nature of its ingredients, you are less likely to have any major systemic side effects. Whereas something that is ingested and circulates throughout the body, like Sildenafil and Tadalafil, some people can experience side effects such as headaches, flushing of the skin, hypotension, just to name a few. However, even though Eroxon was effective for 61% of individuals, Tadalafil was shown to be more effective, with nearly 87% having improvement in erectile dysfunction. And there are plenty of people where they don't experience many of the side effects of Sildenafil or Tadalafil, or at least the side effects don't bother them much. But it is important to keep in mind that some people do have contraindications to Sildenafil and Tadalafil, meaning they may not be able to take it because of certain health conditions or other medications they may be on, such as nitrates. But this is one of the reasons why these are prescription medications rather than over the counter, so that possible contraindications can be addressed with your medical provider. Another thing to consider with Eroxon is the cost. I purchased this on Amazon for $113.24, and it came with a whopping 8 tubes or doses, which is not very many doses. Whereas Sildenafil, I actually just checked on my GoodRx discount app, you can get about 30 tablets from anywhere from $12 to $20. So bringing this all together, Eroxon could be something worth trying if you haven't done well on Sildenafil or Tadalafil. You don't like the side effects, or maybe you have some of those contraindications. Or maybe you just want to have a little bit more spontaneity. 10 minutes to kick in versus 60 minutes might help you to have a little bit more rambunctious, random, at the drop of the hat coitus. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you're interested in AG1, that info is in the description below. And if you're interested in learning more about erections, such as female erections, we'll link that here over on this side somewhere. And of course, we'll see you next time.